Alrighty. Welcome back to another episode of the Dreamers Podcast. Today I have a very special guest, and we never came up with a name exactly for you. I always call myself Dreamslayer, the host. This is my sister. I'm just going to call you Sis.
Oh, I get to pick a name?
Yeah, pick a name if you want to. I was going to say like your YouTube name, but I don't want them to find your YouTube or anything like that. So.
Yeah, not my YouTube. Not right now, at least.
Yeah.
Your dream what?
Dreamslayer. Mixture of Doomslayer and my channel.
Doomslayer, like Doom,
the video game, yeah.
So, which one did you even play?
Well, I've actually started playing the Ultimate Doom for the first time. I've played through 2016, which is just Doom, but we call it 2016 and Eternal, which are the two most recent ones.
Oh my god, so when I was like my daughter's age,
yeah,
and a little older, like way too young to be playing those games.
Yeah.
Doom 2.
Okay. Hell on Earth.
Yes, Doom 2. And then Dad let me play Doom 1.
Okay.
And I was incredibly disappointed by Doom 1 compared to Doom 2. So I can't imagine if I like went and played the new Dooms. I would probably be like...
Honestly, they're pretty amazing. Doom 2016, everybody, well, at least me, and I call him the quarter-dimensional wanderer. He's my best friend. Love 2016 more than Eternal, because Eternal, the difficulty isn't so much in... They gave a fake sense of difficulty. Basically, they're sending waves upon waves upon waves of enemy at you, and it's not so much that they're hard, it's so much that you're literally chainsawing to get ammo, which is not what 2016 was about. 2016 was about landing your shots. 2016 was about actually getting through. They focused way too much on making it a platformer, and it just didn't work out too well.
Okay, but me trying to play that would be like... It'd be like somebody who had a flip phone suddenly going to the newest iPhone.
Yeah.
That's what that would be like. I would probably just be like sitting there rocking back and forth like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like Jack Skellington, except without the wonder and with all of the panic.
Yeah.
What is this?
What's this? What's this? But as much as perfectly fine for a topic to start with, I actually, as much as I do say I don't have scripted content and this isn't scripted, these are just a few questions I thought of. Anything that you, and we're not going to specify anywhere exactly that she works, we're just going to say out there, anything you want to talk about job-wise.
Job-wise, okay, so I have a pretty unpopular job right now. I work in law enforcement.
Yes.
I went into law enforcement shortly before it became as unpopular as it is right now, so probably about... Oh, goodness. 7 years ago. So we were kind of like...
Starting to head that way.
Yeah, starting to head that way, but not where we're at right now. And I did it after working corrections in the military. Mm-hmm. So it is a easy transition to go from the military to law enforcement. Because a lot of the things that you learn on both sides are, they're similar. They're very similar. Yeah. And it does attract people who don't like to do the same thing every day.
Yeah.
Who don't really like the whole 9-to-5 routine.
I didn't think about that, actually. I mean, in my eyes, the 9-to-5 routine is just going to the same place, doing more or less the same thing. But when it comes to what you do, you're not doing the same thing every day.
Oh, God, no. And here's the thing, you have that stereotypical, all these small town cops are people who were just bullied in high school. Yeah. And you do run into those, by the way.
The power play type people.
And you run into them. I'm not gonna sit here after 7 years in law enforcement and
say they don't exist,
12 years in the military and tell you that's nobody like that is out there. Of course there are. But what you get a lot of is people who, A, love adventure, and B, really do want to use this abundance of energy that they have in a productive way, because you get a ton of high energy people. It's not just the fat cop eating a donut. And you see it on TikTok and people's YouTubes. You're starting to see the other side of law enforcement that's not I would say caricaturized. If that's even a real word. You had the Chief Wiggum on The Simpsons that was that was the face of like yeah, that's
cop,
the stereotype that was always presented. But now with like social media and stuff, you're seeing like all these fit cops, and you're like, oh wow, they were there the whole time, guys.
Yeah.
Like they were there the whole time.
Yeah.
You get all these high energy people that just want to use their energy in a productive way.
Which is something I never actually thought about, and I kind of lost the thought there. I just woke up in my brain still. But like I personally on my TikTok occasionally have been seeing like different police officers, and you know they're not bad guys. Like sometimes they'd say, you know, recently, I don't know where it's enforced. I don't think it's enforced out by you or anything like that. But recently, they've been enforcing a no chase policy for motorcycles. You know.
Yeah, because people are dying.
Yeah.
People are dying. So that's actually nationwide. A lot of departments that are. How do I explain this to somebody that's not familiar with the concept? There are accreditations that police departments can get the same way that there are colleges. Okay, so you have colleges that aren't accredited.
Okay.
But that they still give out degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of departments have recently started going to like these third-party accreditations, and they've said, come in, look at our policies, tell us what we're doing right, tell us what, you know, we could do better.
Mm.
And they are trying to get these accreditations. And a lot of those accredited, not all of them, but a lot of those accredited agencies have either no chase policies or very, very strict pursuit policies. Now, that is a double-edged sword, by the way.
Yeah, completely.
So, on one hand, pursuits are very dangerous because driving is one of the most dangerous things you do. You do it all the time, but how many accidents a day do you drive by? Are the majority of them fatal? No. But that's when you're driving under normal conditions, the majority of them aren't fatal. Yeah. And pursuit is not normal conditions.
At all. No.
And so, like, I have seen departments, and I'm not going to use any of, like, my own department's policies.
Of course.
As an example.
Let's not.
But I have friends all over the place, all over the country. You know, I've been to classes where I know police officers in Alaska.
Oh, really? I
yes.
didn't know that. That's interesting.
There was one that was supposed to be from Hawaii at the last class I went to, but I did not, I don't think they made it. I think their flight got delayed or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But the point is I know people from all over.
Yeah.
And
get different views.
So I've seen some agencies where it's like, so you can pursue, but only if somebody just died. We're not going to risk people's lives unless we're trying to catch somebody who just killed somebody. Yeah. I've seen ones that it's like, okay, you can, if they're already driving dangerously, you may drive dangerously to stop them.
Yes.
Because we need to do something.
Yeah, you can't just sit back and do nothing. That's not the point of law enforcement.
I've seen ones where it's like, so not at rush hour. You know, there's set times a day where
that kind
they
of makes
can't
sense.
pursue.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense because that's a lot of people on the road at once, and just for one person risking the lives of many. It's sort of like the old railroad. So
I work in an area that is, it's neither large nor small. Mm-hmm. A lot of the people that live there, they think that it's still a small town.
Yeah,
but it isn't anymore.
I've been there. It's not.
Exactly. And it's actually like a really great area to live in. I have mostly positive things to say about living there. I even have mostly positive things to say about my agency. Mm-hmm. You can't work anywhere and have no complaints.
Yeah, obviously that is.
But I will say that most of mine are the lesser evils. However, what you see a lot of is... I'll use during COVID as an example because nationwide there was a lot of police being told don't talk to people, don't touch people, keep your windows rolled up, don't pull people over, unless they're dying, don't talk to people.
Wow, okay.
Well, we couldn't stop working.
Yeah, no.
But you don't want half of your department to end up quarantined.
Yeah.
So it was essential contact with the public only. And what you had a lot of when we were still coming out of that. Looks like Salem's got the zoomies. Yeah. What you had when people were coming out of that is they're like, why aren't the police doing anything? All these bad things are happening to us, and the police are only just taking reports, and they're not even looking. And people always say that.
Yeah.
I have literally done more on a call than the policy says I should, And what other officers were like, why did you do all that? Like, why did you take those pictures? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? I'm like, guys, like, I'm trying to, like, you know, if we can figure this out later, I want to.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, it's literally just somebody's mailbox. I'm like, yeah, but now they have to pay for that mailbox. Like, I'm just trying, bro.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
I have done more and still had that person that called in say I did nothing for them.
And that's freaking dumb.
And I'm like, newsflash, I'm not psychic.
Yeah.
Okay? You were actually here for it, and you can't tell me anything, so how do you expect me to know something after the fact? Like, well, you didn't look. Yes, I did.
Yes, you did everything within your power at the time to help.
I did. And so what you had, we're coming out of COVID and all that, and they're like, the police aren't doing anything. The police aren't doing anything. But do you know what I see when you have a lot of people working overtime, and we're like, there's like a ton of us out on the road. It's like, well, I'm sure glad the police don't have anything better to do than pull people over. I'm sure glad. I'm sure glad that they're so like on the nicer sides of town. It'll be things like, I'm glad that they're over here patrolling our neighborhoods for people blowing stop signs instead of over on that side of town looking for drugs. But then when you are looking for drugs, people are like, drugs only hurt the people who are using them. Why are you worried about it? And then we're not worried about you know the drugs. It's like
there's people
everything. Getting robbed,
yeah,
and I'm like, yes, there's people doing bad things everywhere, and like we have to pay attention to all of them. And even if we paid attention to all of them all at once, even if there was a police officer for every crime that happened simultaneously, I promise you people would still complain. I promise.
Yeah.
And you know what? Some people are jerks, by the way. Like sometimes you meet that police officer and you're like, wow, he really sucks. Where she's a bitch, you know, and sometimes they just are. Like, have you ever had a mean doctor?
I personally don't think I've had one. I mean, closest I got to a mean doctor was when I had my braces on. I was late to one of my appointments because of the red lights, and I swear they gave me the meanest lady because she just kept tightening that, and I was like, my mouth, it hurts.
Okay, so was you being late, like, technically your fault? Like,
No.
I mean, well, let's go back. Like, you didn't leave enough time for traffic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
but
you're right. A little bit.
Was it, like, so it was technically your fault?
Technically my fault. We'll
technically,
claim my fault, yeah.
But would it have been nice to be given some grace by them?
Especially because it was my first time.
Of course it would have. Of course it would have. But technically they were blaming you, and technically they weren't wrong. But they didn't have to be jerks, right?
Yeah.
It's the 100%. Same thing. It's like the same thing with police. And now I'm gonna use like the doctor example, or and that's happened to my daughter. My OB was like the worst OB to have for a first kid.
Okay.
I'm sure that she is great when you've had a couple of kids and you just want the no-nonsense version. Like, what's my next appointment? What are we doing?
Okay.
Because she was very knowledgeable. Like, not to take anything away from her. She's very knowledgeable. She knew what she was doing. But when you're pregnant and confused, not as to how you got pregnant, but like what actually pregnancy involves, when you ask questions and you're not getting like the answers, it really sucks. She was not understanding to my situation. Well, you run into the same thing with police.
Yeah.
All right. So like, I pull you over for speeding.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it technically your fault you're speeding?
Yes.
Did you get in the music and you kind of lost track a little bit? Like, yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
But is it technically your fault?
Yes.
Now, should I be a jackass about it? Probably not.
No.
But something a lot of people don't realize is some people just sound like that. Like my voice right now, a lot of people think that I'm sarcastic all the time, even when I'm not, and it's my voice. It's literally just my voice. Yeah. So, you know, I've run into that where people think that I'm being rude when I'm not.
You're really not. You're doing your job.
But then there are some people that, you know, it's just like that doctor with the terrible bedside manner. It's just like that orthodontist that could have been gentler. Like, they're out there everywhere.
Profession. I mean, it's literally like running into the Karens of the world. It's a 50-50 chance, and coming from somebody who has obviously a family member, don't make their lives harder. They're just doing their jobs. They are doing their best to help you and to protect the public. It's literally what they're there for. So, as another little lead-on question, how do you personally feel as a officer and someone in the force about everybody that wants to go anarchy, if you will.
Anarchy.
You know, Portland or whatever it is in Oregon.
Oh, that mess.
Yeah.
Okay. There is always a better way.
Yeah.
Right? There's always a better way to do things than how we're doing them now. Like, there are so many laws that need to be rewritten, that need to be changed. But guess what? I'm not the one that gets to do that.
Nope. You just have to
talk to your
them.
legislatures.
Yep.
Like, talk to them.
Yep.
Your legislators, not legislatures. Like, I know the words.
Yeah.
Even if I can't say them.
It's tough.
Like, that's not me. I'm not the one that makes them.
Yeah.
Well, you can choose what to enforce and what not to.
No.
Only to an extent. Like, there's a thing called discretion.
Yes.
But if you use too much discretion, you're gonna find yourself without a job.
Yeah, I was about to say that's how a mafia formed police force becomes.
Yeah.
Like
if you, so there's always a better way, but completely disbanding is not obviously the way we see how well it worked in Portland.
Yeah.
It was all great for the first few days, right? And then it was not.
No.
And I'm not. Oh, the blocks. Hey, baby. Mommy loves you so much, but can you pretty please go play with the blocks in there?
That's fun.
Thank you, princess. No, I'm not saying that it was as bad as the conservative news media made it out to be, nor was it like the paradise that
left-wing media
that the left made it.
Yeah.
It was somewhere in between, but they ran out of stuff.
Yeah. And people didn't want to go there because they didn't feel safe.
And what was one of the you're not going to convince me otherwise. What was one of the first things they did? They created a group of people to enforce things.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to have them.
Yeah.
They created the space to not have it, but then what was one of the first things that happened? They had it.
Yeah.
So there's always
like
a better
taking
way.
out the kingpin in a mafia business.
Yeah, someone's the vacuum will be filled.
Yes.
The vacuum will be filled. That being said, I do think that there are a lot of different ways to improve communities that are overlooked. What do they call it here? I'm not even sure what they call it here. But social work.
Okay, yeah.
They need more caseworkers. They absolutely need more caseworkers. Community programs, especially geared towards the youth.
Yeah, I was about to say.
We need more of that.
Definitely, because that's something I noticed as I was growing up, is that it never seemed like there was, and that's something I've always personally been about. I wanted to feel like I was actually benefiting my community, not that it's just like, here, do this, and it's done for, like cleaning up leaves. Like, don't get me wrong, it's definitely helpful, and it definitely makes a place look better, but it's like, there needs to be better things for people to do to help the community so they feel like they're making active change and things are actually progressively getting better rather than just, hey, you cleaned up the leaves for the fall, congratulations, now go on your way.
Here's a gold star.
Yeah.
No, that we need more programs.
And
one of the great things that some places have that, God, I don't know if we have it where I'm at or here where you are, more like public and community theater stuff.
Yes, and that's one of the things that I always wanted to do, which is something I told my old theater director before I stopped talking to her, is that I wanted to build specifically her a theater, because the way our high school ran it, not only were we not funded well, but we couldn't have creative freedom, because there was one year, I don't know if I ever got to tell you this yet or not, but you remember, I don't want to drop her name, but H down the road, she, I believe her daughter was in it, and there were some goddams and a few swear words, but it was part of the art.
Oh, no, not cursing.
Yeah.
Profanity.
Not like
not
the kids
here.
weren't already doing it.
Oh my God. All right.
And the theater department went through all the necessary hoops, like I'm talking all of your bureaucratic hoops you had to go through. They made sure they 100% jumped through them with 100% accuracy. Well, she still got upset, and there was also somebody else who didn't like Mrs. Hare. She banded together with him and went to the school board, and even though they literally sent home pieces of paper saying, hey, we can change it if your kid specifically doesn't want to say it, but, you know, we want to let you know this is what's in here, and if you don't like it, your kid won't say anything like that, but there are other kids' parents who will be fine with it, and this, that, and the other, you know, they did all of that. And yet they still took it up the chain of command, and then we still got in trouble. The teacher that was sponsoring the theater program got kicked out of the program, so we had to find another sponsor. And it's just like...
Oh, Salem. That's what cats do, babies.
Yeah. That's what upsets me, is that we shouldn't have, with art, we shouldn't have rules like that in place. Like, I can understand if it's excessive, but that is what upset me. And that's why I personally think that we need, like you said, more community programs too. And that's something, one of the reasons why I do this YouTube and this podcast, is I'm hoping one day to be able to come back to my hometown where we haven't been able to have that kind of stuff, and make it to where it's more accessible for more people, so they can feel safe, they can feel comfortable. Because there are so many stories I've heard from friends in high school, and so many people that have been mistreated by their parents because of their own personal identity, that I want them to have a free space. And that's where I feel like all of this negative energy and people that start doing bad things when they're older comes from. They weren't allowed to have that underneath their parents' rule. I mean, obviously there's some stuff that their parents won't want them to do at all, like, you know, breaking and entering or anything like that. But they weren't allowed to have a rebellious face. They weren't allowed to be themselves at all. And then they grow up into an adult and they have those negative feelings and that, I'm not going to call it angst, but that resentment inside them still. And then they go on and they spread their influence, and it keeps going like that until it gets to a point where we are now, where it feels like everything's so disjointed and segmented and nobody quite understands each other anymore.
There's definitely a difference in communication styles between regions, between age groups, between races, between any type of group. There's a kind of lapse in communication, and programs where you get to find common interests really helps with all of that.
Yep.
Like
100%.
really helps with all of that. So not just theater, but continuing education, like formal classes, but informal programs. I recently visited a city. One of my very, very, very best friends, I have known her since we were like, well, not you. You were younger, but since her and I were like 9. There's a like education center that adults and teenagers can take classes at, and they're very affordable. We're talking like $50 for language classes, for baking classes, for, you know, writing classes, anything you can imagine. And they're taught by people with formal education in that area. But it's not like a formal program. Like, it's not college. It's classes. It's for betterment. It's for social welfare.
It's kind of like what I wanted to do is I want to go out to, I mean, this is a literal state capital, so it's not that hard to find. Indianapolis, I want to go out to Indianapolis to take acting classes and everything like that. I'm fairly positive that it's not an actual college level course or anything like that. It's not like that. It's like a monthly class.
Yeah.
And I want to do that, and then I'm pretty sure it's given to by somebody who's gotten a degree or a certification from an official source. But me, on the other hand, especially because our high school never really funded their theater department well, and by the time I was graduating, they didn't have the International Thespian Society indoctrination like they used to, and they wouldn't give out scholarships for it either, no matter how hard you tried. Like, I helped build a set from the ground up, painted it, helped with costumes, helped with props, everything like that. It doesn't matter how hard you try sometimes. If it's not something your school focuses on, it's not something you're unfortunately going to be able to get into as much. But I definitely do plan on taking those classes, and I can see how they would help bridge the gap in the community and help people.
I want to go to Granny.
I know.
Oh, that's fine.
Go
It's all right though, because I am unfortunately running out of time because our internet here is terrible, and upload speed, all that. We'll be getting new internet sometime soon. So, is there any final words you?
Yes. Final words is, as cliche and as stereotypical as it sounds, the majority of people do get into that career because they wanted to help people. And it's not hard after years of doing it to really lose that bright, optimistic face, and then what the public sees is people who are jaded and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I have literally opened my shift doing CPR on a woman that was hit by a car. She's on foot. She was hit by a car on a federal highway, walking to get her kids. She forgot to pick up sides from the store across the street. I opened that shift. I worked night shift. I opened that shift doing CPR on that woman. They got her to the hospital. I drove her kids to the hospital. I drove them myself. Do you know how hard it was the rest of the night to take any other call seriously? To care about anything else after I had to hope and pray that I didn't drive those children to see their mom for the last time? Okay, but I still had all the normal calls. Oh my gosh, my neighbor won't stop shining their headlights into my house. Hey, somebody broke into my car, nothing's missing, but I do need it for insurance. And of course I need to do that. That's still helping people.
Yes,
but after you do CPR for 20 minutes, when you do CPR long enough that the fire department is impressed with you, tells your supervisor like she was a machine. Yeah. And you have to go the rest of the night acting like you...
Nothing happened.
Like nothing happened. Yeah, people aren't always going to get the best version of you.
Yeah.
Now, are those people still having a bad day? Of course they are.
Yes.
Maybe the worst day they'll have all year. And I'm sorry. I am. But there's more to the shift than your call. Yeah. And I try to remind myself before every shift, like, even though this is a call I've gotten a million times, this might be the only time this has ever happened to them. And most of the time, I feel like I, as a person, do a really good job with that. But there are nights where you know that these kids probably saw their mom for the last time, and you have to hope that they didn't see the mess that your uniform was, and make the connection why your uniform was a mess.
Yeah. Or maybe misconstrue that connection. There are nights that you hold screaming children whose parents have completely and utterly failed them. And hand them back because social services doesn't have enough to take them out of the home. But you see the condition that they're living in, and you have to comfort that 3-year-old, that 4-year-old, and hand them right back. And the rest of the night, you have to just still do your job, and it is your job. And so, is that an excuse? No, by no means. It's not an excuse, but you know what it is? It's a level of understanding that maybe some people don't have. Yeah, and honestly, that's what this podcast is, to get out there, that there are different views out there. There are different... I'm not going to sit here and tell you that every police officer is a shining star, a beacon of light and humanity. Of course not. But most of them at least got into it because they wanted to help people. They've seen some bad things. It sounds so cliche. Like, I almost want to barf saying it. Like, at my interview, I was just like, I want to help people. And everyone just looked at me, and I was like, what? Picture, like, 22-year-old me. Like, I just want to help people. I want to change the world. I have the power. Like Sailor Moon over here. Like, fighting evil by moonlight and stuff. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Can I be... What? My nickname. I need a nickname. I mean, it's all right. I mean, we've gone through the episode without saying your name or anything like that. I know, but we can still make one for when you come back. Do you have one?
I want to be MoonSparkle.
MoonSparkle? That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine.
I want to be MoonSparkle. Right. I'm going to change it next time, guys. But I'm MoonSparkle today.
I was about to say, I have so many nicknames, it's not even funny, so don't worry about it.
And this is my little moon.
Yes. Well, that is all the time we have for today. That's just pop filter. It don't matter too much. All the time we have for today. Thank you for letting me talk with you and interview you.
You know what? It's like cool now that we're both adults and stuff that we can like share our interests and whatnot.
But we'll say MoonSparkle for now, and this is Dream Slayer, and I hope all you beautiful bastards and bad bitches out there have a wonderful holiday season. Have a safe year. Don't drink and drive, and be safe. You're fine. You're fine, sis. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.